Okay, welcome to episode 8 of Everything Under the Sun, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ariel Sunshine Williams, and thank you for joining me. So, this time last week, I was getting ready for a trip out of town. I was going to San Diego to vacation, and I have never actually vacationed in San Diego. Living in Los Angeles, San Diego is only 2 hours away. I have a lot of friends who typically drive down and will go for different activities. I haven't been invited on any of those trips, nor have I had any interest in vacationing in San Diego because I used to live there as a child. So my friend decided to do a birthday weekend in San Diego slash Temecula, and I've never been to Temecula. Low key, really hadn't heard about it or what is there. And so I'm like, whatever. I want to get out of the house. I'm gonna go on this trip with you. So this time last week, I'm putting all the finishing touches on my trip. I'm finishing my hair. I installed the night before. I'm packing. I'm getting this skirt that I just bought ready to go. I had to get cleaned and hang dry, washing a shirt that had a stain on it, like trying to get my whole life together before walking out the door. And so I needed to be on the road, supposed to be on the road by 9:30 at the latest, because we were going to have breakfast in San Diego, and I wasn't ready. So I'm hurrying up, I'm trying to get everything together, and I'm texting my friend to let her know, hey, I'm about to get on the road, just making sure to see if y'all have left yet, because I didn't want to miss out um, on the lunch. So, and if the lunch plans had changed at all. And so I'm texting her. She says, hey, I have to drive too. And I'm like, oh, is there a room in your car for me too? And she's like, yes. And so I'm texting her trying to coordinate where we can meet halfway, because I live in the east and she lives in the south. And the middle point would have been some weird city that neither of us probably ever goes to. But if we were going to do that, I needed to have my mom with me so she could drive me down, drop me to get in her car, and then take my car back home. My friend stops responding, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't work. So I just decided, hey, I'm already packed in my car. I haven't done a road trip in a long time. My car is really good on gas. Let me go ahead and just do it. So I get in my car, I gas up, and as I'm getting on the highway, my friend responds, and I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm already on the go. So I go ahead and drive down to San Diego, and the drive was actually really smooth. It was nice and early in the morning, so there wasn't any traffic. There was barely anyone on the road. It was a really great ride, and I really love road trips because it gives me a chance to listen to music and just be with myself and my thoughts. And because I haven't been in the South, in which I used to drive a lot, I haven't had a chance to really do that experience, right? So I'm having this great ride down. I get there in time to meet half of the group at our lunch spot. We went to the Presley, and I had this really awesome sausage and mushroom flatbread. It was really delicious. Finished that, and then we head out to the marina to do a private boat ride. So go on this private boat ride. And it's dope. We have like a catamaran. It has like two beds down below the boat, a full deck area that you can lounge out and sit in the sun, and like an upper area where you can have music and food and drinks and all this stuff. So it's really dope. So we're out there having a good time. We had coordinated that we were going to wear neon swimsuits on the boat. And so everyone has on their cute neon colors, but we never take a group photo. So I'm still a little bummed about that, because I like group pictures on trips. I think that adds to the experience, and that definitely makes for a good pic for the gram. But we never took those photos. But we had a good time. We drank, we ate, we jumped off the boat into the water. I'm actually about to take these passion twists down, because I want to wash them from having been in unknown waters. Yeah, so it was really awesome. We got some great pictures and videos, like individually and kind of like 2 and 3 people at a time or whatever, but no real group photo to show that we were all matching and everything like that. Cool, no problem. So we leave, and after we get done on the boat ride, we go back to the Airbnb. So they get this Airbnb in San Diego, and it's kind of in like a neighborhood that doesn't look like it would have an Airbnb in it. It wasn't necessarily like hood, but it also didn't feel like, okay, I'm on vacation, right? So it's very low key. We go inside, and it's a nice Airbnb. There's 3 bedrooms, a master bedroom that has like a California king size bed, and 2 bedrooms with bunk beds. And then they also had trundle beds that come out from underneath the bunk beds. Cool spot. There was the only issue and only complaint I have about the Airbnb is that it didn't have central AC. And because it didn't have central AC, we were hot the majority of the time we were staying in this Airbnb. But needless to say, we made it through. They had like this little AC unit that some of us kind of stood next to or sat next to stay comfortable, or if you really just stopped moving around, then you would be cool. But it was really hot during the day. Outside of that, the Airbnb was nice. I do think because we had so many people staying with us, we should have had a larger style Airbnb, like something with a larger floor plan, just because it would have given us a little bit more space. But it was still a nice Airbnb. Glad we did this experience, right? So we go into the gas lamp district. So let me let y'all know that San Diego is open. Okay, it is not like Los Angeles, how I feel like we're still shut down. We don't have much of a social life out here. I've been seeing some of my friends go out to eat and stuff and go to brunch, but we're not day partying, we're not going to the club, we're not doing any of those types of things. There's no movie premieres, there's none of the stuff that you come to LA for. It's not happening, right? So we go down to the gas lamp district in SD, and it is like fully popping. I mean, this is a Friday night, mind you. People are out on dates, families, homies. Like, you could see like people were out smoking hookah, like really chilling, like big time chilling. People are having a great time out here in San Diego. We're walking around trying to find something to eat. We decided that we're not gonna stay to sit down and eat. We just want to grab our food, but because we had so many people and we wanted to make sure everyone was happy with their food, we all went to different restaurants and then went back to the Airbnb to eat. So we go back to the Airbnb to eat, and we're supposed to have like a game night, but we played like emoji Uno. I don't know if any of you have played that before. It's too complicated. Like, every black person plays Uno differently. Like, I play with train and stacking and things like that, and everybody does not. Some people do, but differently. And so it just became this whole thing because the cards have emojis on them, and then we figured out halfway through that you're supposed to stack the same type of emoji face and all this stuff. So I'm like, bro, we're not playing this Uno emoji anymore. I'm like, how are we making this a drinking game? We're not really drinking. We're not getting drunk. It's just like, okay, we're hot and we're playing emoji Uno. So we get done with that, and I want to say, I feel like we didn't do anything else in particular that night because we had to get up early. You're right. Uno is very divisive. So after that, I want to say we went to bed. Nothing major. I ended up getting a bed to myself, so I was really happy about that. I don't really have an issue with sleeping with anyone that was on the trip, but I just lucked out. And then we had to get up early because we had a full day planned for Saturday, right? So I went on a hike. It was only about 4 of us that went on a hike along the coastline in San Diego. It was really beautiful. I posted a few pictures on my personal page. Please check those out. It was a really cool little vibe. We got a nice walk in for about an hour. We did a little bit of running. I am not a person who likes to run. I have asthma, but we did a little bit of running. We met some guys who were out there fishing, took pictures with this fish that he actually caught while we were standing in it, so that was pretty cool. And then we went back to the Airbnb to freshen up before we went to the winery. So I actually had a conference call that I had to be on for a conference I'll be speaking at next month. And so luckily, because there were so many girls and they're all into makeup and all those types of things, I had plenty of time to be on my call. And as soon as I finished my call, it was time for us to leave to go to the winery. So everyone's all dressed up, and they told us to dress in a way that made us feel like we were Beyonce. I don't know what that means. I really struggle with the concept because Beyonce some days is in Adidas, Adidas and like sneakers and a sweatsuit, and then some days she's in a freaking plastic dress that looks like a decorated condom. I don't know. So anyways, we figure out what we're gonna wear, Everyone's all dressed up, pretty, makeup, hair done, everything. Even the guys look really nice. It's great. So we're leaving, and we have to drive an hour north to Temecula. So we get in the car. We're driving to Temecula, and we kind of have like a really cool conversation with the girls that I was riding with, and it actually kind of sparked an idea for this project that I want to work on and get started. And so I'm really excited that we had this talk, because it kind of confirmed that something that I wanted to do is needed and necessary. And so now I figured out a title for it and what I wanted to include and things like that. So that was really awesome. I love conversations like that. And if your friend circle does not talk about creating opportunities and things like that, you need to change your circle. So anyway, so we get to Temecula, and I've never been to wine country in any part of California. So I've never been up to Napa or Sonoma. I didn't know about Temecula. I don't know what to expect. So we get into Temecula, and there are several vineyards. Again, I've never seen what these look like. I don't know what to expect, but we go into one that's called Wilson Creek Winery, and we're supposed to be having brunch. Now we get there, and because it's Saturday and not Sunday, it's not the brunch menu. So that was a fail on our end. We definitely should have done that on Sunday so that we could get the brunching experience. But we took pictures before because the food was taking a little while, so we did some nice group shots together for the birthday girls, and then we ate. And I had this oyster. No, I'm lying. I had a soft shell po' boy. It was a battered soft shell crab po' boy, and it was the bomb. Now I really, 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 really enjoy po' boys. Having lived in Louisiana, I know what a good po' boy is like. Got this po' boy at Wilson Creek Winery. Tore that thing up, okay? And someone else had it, and they also raved about it. So I just want to say, if you ever go there and you want something to eat, try the po' boy. So then, like, it's mad hot out here, okay? Like, it's... Yes, so go check out Temecula's vineyards down there. I had no idea that was down there either. So we're going to now we're done with being like the eating portion of our day, and I'm like, okay, well, are we going to go to another vineyard, because they wanted to do like a wine tasting type of situation, but the lines are really long at Wilson's Creek, and so we didn't do that. What we ended up doing was buying bottles of wine and sitting under their misting area. Our group was really too large to fully enjoy the misting portion of this little space, but we made it work. We just sat and talked and engaged with each other and things like that for, I want to say, maybe an hour. It really felt like forever because we were sweltering. It was just really stinking hot out there. So we finally get up to go take pictures and leave because I thought we were going to another vineyard. We go take these pictures, and the actual thing that keeps the grapes on the vines, the actual vineyard part, was literally right across the pathway, and I had no idea. So I'm sitting there this whole time, and I could have been walking around, touching, trying, talking to people, like people who work at the place. Like, I could have done so much more, but I had no idea. And so we finally go take these pictures. We get these cool group shots done in the vineyard section. It was also it was even hotter over there. Like, we got over to the vineyard part, and I literally dripped sweat down my body. It was disgusting. So needless to say, as soon as we all got back to the Airbnb, we showered. We ended up not going to another vineyard just because everyone was so hot and tired. So we went back to, what did we do for lunch? I think we just went back to the Airbnb. And people had snacks and stuff to hold us over. Some people took naps, everyone took showers, we getting our lives together, etc., etc. So then we go. So we're back at the Airbnb, we're getting our lives together, and then we start the drinking, right? So we're taking shots, like mad shots. We're rewatching a movie that we had started the day before, trying to finish it. And then the fights come on. The UFC fights come on. There's like 4 fights that we sit through. I am not necessarily into UFC. I really prefer boxing, but I really enjoy watch party vibes. So I was really into this session because all the guys are sitting around, and I really get along with guys. So we're chilling, we're watching the fights, and we're having a good time. All the girls are kind of like being impatient, and they're like let's get to the games and stuff. Blase, blase. We don't get to the game to the drinking games. We basically watch literally the fight must have been on for 2 3 hours. It was a while. We watched this fight for a while, and then we got to the main event, watched the main event, and then we finally got we ordered pizza, so everyone had pizza and wings to eat for dinner, which is a great easy way to feed everybody. And then we play drinking games. So now we start playing all different types of drinking games, and I'm like, one game we started to play was something called, dang, I can't think of the full title, but it's something Hitler. And a couple people on the trip were really excited about this game. I personally was not feeling the title of the game at all. But then they started to play it, and it's kind of like a mafia vibe. But the rules made the game very complicated. The cards, all this stuff. So we didn't have a successful turn at playing this Hitler game. We move on to, what do we play? Most Likely To. So this is like a game that I think you can order from Amazon. It's called Most Likely To, and it's basically you're giving superlatives to everybody in the room. So we are giving them to people who aren't even playing. But because you don't know everyone in the room, you're basically doing this off of first impressions, right? Which is cool. No harm, no foul. No one's feelings should really be getting hurt, but it is what it is. And so we're playing the game, and we're having a good time. Everybody's joking, laughing, etc., etc. So we move on to, after that, I don't think we played any. Oh, we played King's Cup. We played King's Cup after that, and it was interesting because one of the guys on the trip gave up drinking for the year, and he ended up pulling the last king, in which you have to drink the King's Cup. And so one of the other guys on the trip drank all the liquor for him. I'm like, bro, you're a real one. Shout out to you. I wasn't going to sit here and drink this cup for him. That boy was going to have to figure out a way to get that liquor down. But we finished playing King's Cup. That was a cool little game with the group. And then we ended up playing Never Have I Ever. And we played like 3 rounds of that. Different people coming in and out of the game. And it was fun, drinking and stuff. I really feel like we didn't get to, per se, turn up as much or do drinking games. I've done drinking games before. But it was still a cool time hanging with new people, getting to know them and stuff like that. So that's Saturday night. Okay, so the other part of this, going on trips and there's a bunch of different people coming is that you don't know everyone, right? And so on the trip there ends up being, initially when we left to get on the boat, I only had my eyes on one person, right? Super attractive guy. I don't know him for real. I think he came to my graduation party in May, but I really didn't connect with him. So he comes on this trip, see him. Then we get to the winery, and more dudes show up, and they're with the other birthday girl's party, and I'm like, okay, now the niggas is here. So there ends up being 4 guys on the trip who I find attractive, right? And so I'm flirting essentially with 2 of them. Nothing ends up happening, which is not, I was, whatever, I'm here for it. But nothing ends up happening with either of them, but they seem like cool people. Like, I'll probably see them around post trip, right? So cool. So we end up trying to coordinate the sleeping arrangements. And remember, I have a bed to myself, and I tried to give someone else a chance to sleep in a bed versus being on a couch, or sleeping in a room with like 5 other people, or whatever. So that ended up not happening. Like, I ended up sleeping by myself again, and again I had a great night's sleep. No complaints. But when I woke up, I heard people still complaining about their sleeping arrangements, and I'm like, I tried to give y'all an opportunity. Y'all didn't want to take it. Okay. So, then we go on Sunday. We have, okay, so on Sunday, we try to figure out plans. I thought we were going to brunch before we went to the beach. Come to find out, we weren't going to the beach. We were going to do water sports and then eat afterwards. But by the time we got done with the water sports, the brunch spots were at capacity or done with brunch, or the waits were 1 to 2 hours long. No one was interested in that. So we ended up missing out on a full brunching experience in SD, which I think would have been cool. But we did do kayaking in the morning, and some people went to do goat yoga. But I went kayaking, and that was a lot of fun. We ended up seeing real sea lions. Like mad close to us. The water smelled super duper duper fishy, way worse than the water that we were in on Friday. But it was a really dope experience. One of the guys on the trip was we did like a dual kayaking boat experience, and so he did a lot of the maneuvering and paddling and all that stuff, but I learned how to row for real, and so I would definitely be open to doing that type of activity again. I always feel like if I'm on a trip, I'm going to try to do all that is offered to me, especially if I can afford it, or if it's something I've never done before, and so kayaking is one of them. So that was really awesome to be able to do that. I shared a video on my Insta, but I definitely have more footage from that trip. So I'll probably get around to posting that eventually. But yeah, so the kayaking was dope. So then we go back into like downtown SD, and we had 3 breakfast options, and I chose this place called Breakfast Bitch. Now, Breakfast Bitch is a cool spot. It's black owned, and so we went there. I really wanted to support a black owned business while I was in town. We do that. We end up getting our breakfast or our brunch from there, and then like taking it to go because the wait was so long. It just made sense to order your food, wait 20 minutes to get it, and then eat instead of waiting an hour and a half, etc. So we end up doing that, and then we were supposed to go to a beach for real, like sit on the beach. I brought a beach chair, like lounge and all that stuff, but because everyone was so exhausted from the whole weekend, and it had gotten so late in the day and it was super hot already, we're gonna call it, we're all gonna go back to LA. So we leave LA, and I'm anticipating seeing Summer Bay right when I get home. The whole weekend while I'm on the boat ride on Friday, I'm texting him pictures of me in my cute swimsuits. We're talking all day. Saturday, same thing, texting him pictures while I'm at the winery. He's sending me pictures while he's out in LA doing his thing, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm ready to see him when I get home. So I text him when I'm on my way. He doesn't respond. Okay. I get home, I'm showering, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm about to pull up on this nigga. He responds, but it's like no enthusiasm. Okay. So I send him something to tease him. He takes forever to respond to that. And then when he responds, he goes, maybe another day. Okay. Cool. So I'm like, I thought I was coming to see you. I was anticipating seeing you. I've been waiting to see you all weekend. I've been drinking all weekend. Hormones are all over the place. I didn't do anything with the niggas down there. I'm trying to see you. He's not with it. Okay. No pressure. Come to find, a dude I used to talk to is back in the city. And he hit my line. Bet. So he's in town for a week. My nigga's acting up. I'm about to go see somebody else. Cool. So that was on Sunday. I chill at the crib. Monday comes and I have to do hair in the city. So I drive into LA. I'm doing hair. And as I'm on my way back home, the person who's visiting hits me up and he's like, hey, you want to come through? I'm like, bro, I literally just got on the highway to go home. I really don't want to come back out. And he's like, well, I got a room tonight. Like, you should really come through so we can hang and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I go home, shower, get my life, come back out and see this dude. Now, this person is really cool, and he really just like lets me talk to him and like vent and explain like things that are going on. And so I saw this meme the other day that said, you never really realize how awful someone is to you until you explain it to someone else. And so I was breaking down the situation with Summer Bay, and he was like, really? And I'm like, it's not a huge deal. I'm not pressed about this person. There's nothing going to come from this. He's just, just entertainment for the summer. And he's like, oh, all right. Well, I just want to make sure you're good. Da, da, da. And I'm like, yeah, I'm straight. It's no pressure, whatever. But, when you really start to break it down, and I'm like explaining to him all of what's going on, I'm like, bro, this is a really crappy situation. Like, I'm really getting the short end of the stick. It's not what I want. And he never makes himself available for me when I want him to be available. It's only when he's cool. And then I got to drop everything I'm doing to come see him. Cool. I try to make it super convenient that if I'm ever doing hair at the place where I go, that I let him know because it's 5 minutes from his house. I texted him to tell him I was coming to do hair. He didn't respond. I text him when I'm leaving from doing hair. He doesn't respond. I go see this nigga that's visiting, and as I'm leaving from old dude, I get a text from him. Sir, it's almost midnight. Where do you think I was about to be at midnight? Going home to my bed. I'm not coming back out. I'm not coming to see you. It don't matter where I was at. It wasn't happening. It's too late. So I was annoyed. Needless to say, bleh, you know? But, let me see. Just gotta check my notes for a second. Okay. So, anyways, back to this trip. So I come home from my trip on Sunday, and my doctor diploma is here. So I did a video yesterday on my live, or the day before, on my personal page, and showed my doctorate degree. So that's also on this page. If you're interested in seeing it, it's really huge and pretty, and I'm really glad that it came. But I couldn't, because I knew it was actually coming, because my friend told me while I was leaving on Friday that hers came, and mine hadn't arrived yet. So when I got home on Sunday, I opened it with my family, and that was really nice. And typically when I come home from a trip, I am complaining about everything on the trip. This is the first vacation in a while where I didn't have any major complaints. I wasn't upset about anything that went down. Like I said, the only thing that was a negative was there was no central AC in the Airbnb. But outside of that, it was a good trip with a good crew. I think it definitely adds to the experience to have a good crew. Like, I'm not a huge fan of group trips, but when I do go on them, I just hope that it's a good group of people. And we had a good mixture of individuals, so from like cultural background to age to college experiences to all this stuff. It was just a really good, fun group, and everybody was there to have a good time, which was great. And I will say one of the things that helped me save money on this trip was that I drove my car down. My car is really awesome on gas. I also parked my car the whole time we were there. So anytime we left to go like to Gaslamp District, to Temecula, to anything else, I left my car at the Airbnb. I only used my car on Sunday when I was taking us to kayaking, and then to brunch. I also didn't take anyone with me or coming back, so it would have been easier if I split gas with someone, but still, it basically cost me $30 round trip. That's not awful. Another way is that I only ate 2 meals a day, so that is a great way to save money as well. If you're traveling and if you're on a budget, which is something that I totally promote, you do not have to be rich or spend a ton of money to travel. So I reduced my meals to 2 a day, and because I was so close to home, I packed some breakfast smoothies and snacks from home. I had them in a cooler bag and took those on the trip as well, so that helped me to maintain my regular diet that I have in the morning, and what I eat for that in the morning times, and then ate 2 meals out with my friends, so lunch and dinner pretty much on both days. So that's a travel tip for this episode. I did want to say one of the craziest things that happened to me on this trip. So on Friday night, we went to the Gaslamp District to order to get our food. My friend ended up paying for my meal, and I needed to Cash App her. So Saturday, she sends me this text message, and she's like, hey, the sushi was this much money. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Send her the Cash App. As I'm sending her the Cash App money, my ex from 4 years ago, 3 years ago, pops up in her place. So his face shows up next to her name, and I'm like, yo, this is weird. His face pops up, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. We've never cashed app each other, or we haven't in years. I've never cashed app him. He's only cashed app me, and his name is nowhere near similar to her. So how on earth would his face populate where her name should be? So I ended up texting him to check on him, because it's like, maybe this is a weird sign. Maybe there's something wrong with him. Let me just check on the dude, make sure he's cool. Text him, he responds, he's like, everything's cool, nothing wrong on my end. I'm like, okay, great. It just was this weird thing that you showed up in my phone. I just wanted to make sure you were good. And we start talking. Now, we haven't had a real good conversation in a minute. And so we're texting all day while I'm out. Finish the hike, go back to the Airbnb to do the conference. We're texting during the time while I'm at the winery. And I think that's where it ended. And everything was just good, right? It was no issues. We didn't argue with each other. We didn't call each other out our names. It was no problems. Just checking in. And then while we're texting, he asked me, "How's your quarantine?" But he spelled quarantine TEEN. First of all, you have an iPhone and your phone should have autocorrected that. First of all, shouldn't even been able to send that word spelled that way. But since you let it send and didn't correct it, I feel away. And y'all already know I'm a grammar freak. I have issues with spelling and grammar. I do not want people to ever have issues. And you have a master's degree now, sir. I accepted these errors before you got it. I've even helped you with a paper. But you can't be texting me quarantine with two E's. I was blowed. So I'm like, this is just another confirmation, and I'm glad this did not work out, because I can't deal with people who can't talk correctly, type correctly, spell correctly. It don't work for me. Yes. It does not work for me. So, anyways, we ended up not talking for the rest of, what day was that? We ended up not talking for the rest of Saturday. Sunday goes by, and then was that Monday? No, Tuesday. Tuesday I'm doing my brother's hair, and he calls me, he FaceTimes me. I didn't give you permission to FaceTime me. I didn't even say I want to talk to you on the phone. I didn't say I want to talk to you past Saturday. I just wanted to check on you, make sure you was good, and that was it. Proceeds to have a lengthy conversation with me. He's sitting in his classroom talking to me. He seems a little nervous because, like, obviously we haven't talked for real and it's been a minute. And I don't feel like I was necessarily like super cute or anything. I'm like chilling in the crib. But he was just nervous, and like our conversation was a little awkward at first, and then it got to be a little bit more casual or whatnot. But it still was like, why are you on my line? I'm not trying to stir up anything. I'm not trying to get back with you. I'm not looking for anything. Now, I told y'all earlier during quarantine, he popped up on my LinkedIn. Now you calling me. Stay away. Stay away. I'm not with it. I'm not interested. I'm not playing no games. Now, I don't have an issue being friends with any of my exes. I think, obviously if I chose to be with you, there's something in you. We can be cool. If it didn't work out romantically, no harm, no foul. But we just have a very long extended history of ups and downs, and I just want to be very cautious of how we proceed, and he needs to make sure that he's aware of that, right? So, anyways, I think that's it. Yeah, that was my whole trip. So San Diego was cool. Temecula was cool. Got to go do a private boat ride. See a vineyard. Now I'm gonna plan another trip to a vineyard for my mom, and now that I know what it looks like and how it works, I can plan it for her. And outside of that, I'm really interested in doing more activities like in the water. Like they had these hydro bikes out there. They had stand up paddleboarding, all types of stuff. So like, and even just renting other boats. Like boats are dope, and some of them are really really cool looking, and I'm all for that. So I might do something for my graduation / birthday again, once life is a little bit more open, because I really did like just some Airbnb pool parties, and while that was better than just being in my own house and having people do like a drive-by wave at you parade thing, there's no shade to people who have to do that for their birthdays, but that's just not how I want to go down in 2020. So I'll probably do something else at the end of the year, or whatever. But it was really good. Any questions, comments, concerns from those that are in here? All right, cool. So that is episode 8. Thank you for joining as always. And I look forward to talking with y'all on the next episode. Okay, and last but not least, I want to give a quick shout out to Kadeem Stewart for this dope tea. It says create ish, and he has shirts and sweatshirts as well as crop sweatshirts. And his Instagram is Kadeem.Stewart or Kadeem period Stewart. He's an awesome photographer and friend. I've known him since my undergrad days at UCF. And I wanted to give him a brief shout out because I really love the quality of this t-shirt as well. It is super soft. And it's super cute. So shout out to him. Support black owned businesses.